Greetings, Mech Warriors, and welcome to this Week 4 Division A matchup between Imperial and House of Lords. I am BanditB17, and with me, as always, is MDM0.
Hey guys.
And we also have, for the third time now, IQ Fish from Top Game Media Crew. He will be recording this match for his most recent project. How you doing?
Hey guys, what's up?
Uh, really excited about this match. I think this is going to be a very exciting one. We've been watching this one on the schedule, especially after the performance Lords had against SJR just this same season. Uh, EMP was heavily favored to win this at the beginning of the season, and people thought that they were untouchable. But if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be one of those two teams, SJR. Actually, I should step back. Let's not count Antari Scorpions out. They are
Yeah,
they
I was
are
about to
always
bring
the
that up.
underdogs, but they actually are performing very well as well. So this season for Division A has actually been very, very close. All of the teams are playing very well against each other, and there's been a lot of surprises and some might say upsets. So we it could go anywhere. I mean, who knows? But did EMP play AS yet? I don't think they've played yet, have they?
EMP played AS. I believe they did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
wasn't that EMP AS a couple weeks ago, a week or two ago?
grab the score from that because I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to
bring it
say,
up right
well,
here because it was close. I know it was close.
I don't want to say, well, AS might be able to beat EMP, and then if the results say that they lost, well, then that wouldn't be right.
I've got the results right here, and I was actually going to talk a little bit about this later in the match, but I guess we can start now. EMP did play Antari Scorpions, winning 3 out of the 5 matches. Antari Scorpions actually took 2 of those matches from
Ah,
EMP.
yes. That's impressive.
Which
That's definitely
was
impressive.
part of the point I wanted to bring up here. We're going to talk about the matchup tonight between EMP and Lords. And as you said last week, Lords played SJR and actually won. Now, all along, I had been maintaining that SJR was probably the second best team in the division. I expected them to finish second only to EMP. Here they go with Lords kind of rejoining competitive play this season after a little bit of what you could call a hiatus. And they beat SJR. Now they're going up against EMP. We know there's a history between these two teams, but EMP in their last matchup played in a 3-2 match to Antari Scorpions. And I'm not taking anything away from Antari Scorpions, but I think we expected that match to not be as close as it was.
Hmm.
So this kind of begs the question, right? Is this the night that Lords beats EMP? Do we see EMP lose a competitive match tonight? I'm not sure. And judging by the current straw poll going on right now, we've got 7 votes in favor of EMP, 5 votes in favor of Lord. So I think
Wow, even that's
Twitch
split
chat's
perfectly right down the middle, pretty much.
a little split as well on this. There's some maybe some trepidation for those of us who believe that EMP will win the division and continue the run of success that they've had throughout their entire existence of
Hmm.
MWO. But it should be a very good match tonight.
Absolutely. And of course, we talked about it last stream and we saw it the stream before. Lords have made some roster moves that are actually, I would say, increasing their standings right now
Yeah.
as a team. Like their overall power has gone up. Now, the Lords versus AS match happened a long time ago, it seems, and that was before those roster moves were made. And AS actually took that match from Lords. Then we see after the roster moves were made, uh, Lords comes in and beats SJR, and I
Yeah.
would say then just looking at it, if anybody's gonna at this point take EMP, Lords are most likely the best choice for that. But this upcoming Thursday, we actually will have another shoutcast. It will be our last MRBC shoutcast of the season, and most likely the last match of North America MRBC. We will have SJR versus EMP, and we'll have to see if SJR fixes some of the issues we've been seeing with them.
Yeah.
They're very fixable issues, though. This is the kind of thing where this isn't just SJR is being outclassed. They're making mistakes, and mistakes can be fixed. So SJR can come back and play incredibly strong. And how they do might be directly influenced by what happens tonight.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
EMP gets beaten, they're not going to take that lying down. They have a reputation to uphold, and they're going to learn from their mistakes in this match, if there are any, and they're going to come back very strong for SJR. But these teams have been so close against each other that they've really been high tier for
Yeah.
sure.
Now let's break that down just a little bit further. I want to pull back from outside of MRBC. If we want to look at these four teams, House of Lords, EMP, Antari Scorpions, and Steel Jaguar, right? In MSI, the finals, we had EMP play SJR. Admittedly, it was 12v12. It was a different rule set, but that was a 3-2 win for EMP. Then we have Antari Scorpions play Lords. They beat Lords, as you mentioned. Now, that was with a little bit different of a roster for Lords. We have Antari Scorpions play EMP. Again, a close matchup, 3-2 win for EMP. Lords beats SJR 3-2. Now begs the question, does Lords beat EMP? Does EMP win this? And even if it's close, does that set up that match between SJR and EMP as kind of the deciding factor for whether EMP wins Division A? Now, I don't know if SJR can come back and win the division, but even if they could win that matchup, it might open it up for one of the other teams in Division A to take that title. So this is, I mean, we haven't, between these four teams, have we seen what was the final score of the entire Scorpions House of Lords? Have we seen a match that hasn't been 3-2?
I don't think so. You'll have to check the standings on
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna check this out right now.
Hopefully, you guys are receiving this loud and clear. Some of you guys, it sounds like, are still receiving the intro video, which is not sent from my computer. It is sent from the server at MRBC, and then we cut that off and we continue on with ours. And I've been trying to time it right, but it seems like the other one didn't stop for some reason. So hopefully you guys are catching us and we're able to follow along at the beginning of this entire stream here, but we shall see.
And I just confirmed Antari Scorpions versus House of Lords was a 3-2 win for Antari Scorpions. So, so Div A has been nothing but 3-2 wins, as close as you can get it.
Absolutely. That's the kind of stuff that I love seeing. Invites are going out. Mr. IQ Fish and MD, we are all getting into the lobby. And hopefully we'll be able to bring you some exciting stuff. So, EMP. They've got 2 matches to go here, as we said. They've got this one against Lords and then one against SJR. So I believe SJR and Lords have both played, is it 3 matches out of the possible 4? But EMP, of course, has 2 because of these 2. So it's really tough to see where they're at right now in the standings overall to see who's doing the best. Obviously, Lords aren't really going to be pictured in the standings at the end of the season because of the roster moves that were made. So this is really going to be a battle between Antari Scorpions, EMP, and House of Lords in terms of the EMP standings. I don't want to discount this match tonight, though, because it does have impact in... it's going to have an impact, definitely, in the match against EMP SJR, and it's also going to carry over into the $100,000 tournament, which we're all going to be watching and hopefully enjoying pretty soon here. That's going to be getting fired up. Rosters just locked for that, I believe, today. So I'm excited to see how many teams actually have full rosters for that and in what regions. It's going to be definitely exciting, but that's I think beyond anything, all of these teams, that is going to be their focus. Don't want to sell MRBC short. It's definitely a fantastic league, and it's been a pleasure casting for them and playing in it. But that big tournament is the talk of the town right now, and we're going to have to see.
And talk about teams that you're going to see in that big tournament. EMP, House of Lords, SJR, Antari Scorpions. All 4 of those teams we just talked about for this NA Div A, they're going to be active in this tournament. And I expect all 4 of them to make some noise as well.
And not only that, but several of those teams are actually going to be fielding secondary rosters as well. I know that SJR is going to be teaming up with Rising Storm for a secondary roster. Antari Scorpions, I believe, geared up a second roster. I'm not sure whether or not they got in time. But you know, they're gonna just bring everybody they've got, and they're gonna throw it at this and see what sticks for sure. But both teams are now in lobby. We're waiting for them to all get readied up. We're really excited to get started here. So we are going to talk about Drop 1. 4 lights, 4 mediums, 0 heavies, 0 assaults on skirmish on Canyon Network. Throughout the entire match today, the rule that will stick is one of any chassis, only one duplicate allowed. So we pay very close attention at which duplicate mech that teams opt to take. Sometimes they opt to not even use it at all. No strikes in the first 3 drops, and no clan streaks in Drop 1. So we are super excited. Canyon Network seems to me like it's going to be potentially the map that's used in the qualifying rounds for the $100,000 tournament to seed the finals brackets. This obviously is going to be a much lighter drop than the qualifiers, which will be 2-2-2-2, but it's still good to see what tactics are used on this map, how they navigate the terrain, and things like that. So we're going to be hopping in there any minute now and take a look. So I am going to bring up the map, and let's just talk about what you think we're going to see on Canyon Network.
Well, I think both of these teams so far have been playing very, very aggressive, especially in Drop 1. They're just going to bring brawl lights, brawl mediums, charge right into each other. I would expect the battle to happen on the Theta ramp towards the Delta 3 side. Sometimes you see it in Charlie 4. I'm normally expect to see it in Delta 3. That's where I'll be looking to start off. But, these matches, especially Drop 1, it's with these sort of teams, with this sort of skill level, it's hard, it's fast. Before you know it, the match is over. These are definitely some of the hardest ones for us to cast just because there's so much going on. Everything happens so quickly. You're talking about a lot of mechs that can patch a serious punch to them with not a lot of armor. So you get these really large alphas and just smacking mechs down if you can get those alphas in position quickly and accurately, and that's usually what we see out of this level of play.
Absolutely. Now, we are seeing in Team 1 a split group, so that leads me to believe that these guys are going to be gathering up on Theta, and then, as you said, Alpha Bravo looks like they might take the D3 region here and hold up there and try and fight on their terms. But we are headed in to Drop 1, Canyon Network. 4 lights, 4 mediums. Let's take a look. Now we I want to mention, we have made some, hopefully made some improvements to our picture-in-picture, which I will be bringing up here, to hopefully increase viewer pleasure. Let us know what you guys think about that. So we are over on the House of Lords side, and they are heading up the ramp. Let's see where they take it. Actually, they are splitting. House of Lords has split towards Theta and are actually taking some fire from a ranged mech for EmpyreaL. What kind of mechs are we seeing on the EmpyreaL side?
Hunchback 4SP, Dual Oxides, Jenners, Shadowhawk 2D2, Griffin, and that ranged mech, there's a Spider 5K and a Trebuchet 5J. This is the same strategy we saw out of SGR last week, where they had a Trebuchet Overwatch with 3 large, 2 mediums.
And that was on Frozen City Night,
yes,
I believe.
That was Frozen City Night, but this is an interesting...
Ooh, he jumped right up on top of the rock. He's going to have a little bit of fun up there poking. But it looks like he isn't getting away with it 100% because there is a Spider 5K for Lords with the single large pulse laser, and he's able to fire it very quickly, and he is firing it as fast as he humanly can to try and get anything he can, but he's only dealt about 3% damage to the Trebuchet.
Here comes Lords charging right up the canyon. This is an interesting move for them. I mean, it
kind of reminds me of the Isengrim match, except with the increase in range mechs, but this is definitely a ballsy move by Lords. They are taking the fight directly to the left flank of EMP, but some of their mechs are having issues getting up. Airlock is actually having trouble getting all the way
And
up
he's
top.
about to get legged. He's going to be in a lot of trouble if he gets legged in that Nova.
We have a Griffin versus Griffin fight behind the Trebuchet. He is actually turning to get some shots in, and Wildfire goes down. The first Lord's mech is down, but the Jenner 2C Nova in the
EmpyreaL
water
just
for
went
EMP
down as well.
has fallen. Looks like things are in favor of EMP, but only slightly. Actually, that's starting to go a little bit more severely as the fight goes on.
And here's Energy, and the Hunchback 4SP just went down, and it looks like this is going to be an easy win for EMP at this point. Oxide's got stuck on the ramp, not a good position to be in.
That was definitely an interesting strat used by EMP. I don't think it's one that we've ever seen in use before, but I have to say that seems to me to be what makes EMP the top dogs, is they don't copy strats, they make strats.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that we've seen out of them is something new, and these guys practice all the time. They are the ones that come up with this kind of thing, and they practice against each other, and they obviously came up with a winner right there, forcing Lords to come through the canyon and essentially get slaughtered all the way down. That Spider 5K had nothing on that Trebuchet. After firing,
No.
it had to have been, oh man, I'd say like 10 shots in a row, rapid fire, only about 3% damage dealt because it was at such extreme range.
Yep. Yeah, just no range at all to counter Saleth on top of that hill, which is just what a clever spot to be, I guess. You know, it worked out for them. He did 275 damage, which wasn't the tops, but it was a solid damage, especially for a range contributor in a brawl deck. Twinkie Overlord 361 in the Oxide. We all know what those mechs can do. And Slummy 372 in the Hunchback 4 SP. That Hunchback is so tanky. It is so valuable in these light drops. And looking at, again, both Oxides for Lords under 100 damage. Those are probably your two most valuable mechs in this drop. And Airlock with the 84 damage in the Nova getting legged early on really cost him, I think. And his ability to be able to contribute. We all know that those small pulse Novas are devastating if you can get within range. But if you get legged and you're stuck in the canyon,
how many mechs did Lords manage to take there? Was it 4? I actually got a little bit screwed up because of your death. How many were dead for EmpyreaL at the end of that one? Do you have it?
I just lost it. It timed me out there.
Okay, I believe it was 4. I will check that to make sure that the score on the screen is correct. But we are going to be heading into drop 2. Let's. I cleared the map because obviously that didn't go according to anything that we thought was going to happen. We had these.
Yeah, really.
I was caught a little bit off guard by the split by EMP, thinking that they were okay. Well, they're just going to meet up at Theta, but no, that's not what happened at all. They sent some pokes up here. They sent some pokes up here. Charlie gathered in. I think they gathered around the Charlie 4 region. But that move by Seleth to get up on this rock seemed incredibly deliberate. That had to have been practiced. They knew that they wanted him up there because it is so inaccessible to a lot of those brawl mechs. It doesn't really have much ability to get away from SRMs. Let's say the rest of EMP died.
Yeah.
He would get killed. He's not going to be able to hide up there like Viridian Bog or something like that. However, he's so inaccessible in the heat of the battle that he can just sit there all day and just play the heat cap. That's exactly what we saw from Magician on Frozen City. Now, this is a slightly hotter map, but he clearly did work on that one. And then we had the movement Alpha and Bravo. They went up and actually came over here, and Alpha, I believe, just came. I'm not sure if they went around or if they went up D3. We'll have to check the replay to find that. But essentially, I believe they came over hard into Delta 4, and then charged. Yeah, no, they actually. Let me erase that. They didn't go up on top. They went into the canyon, and that
they
was
stayed
a shock.
Down on that canyon and tried to jump jet up into this area here on the Delta 4 side of Charlie 4.
And that canyon has absolutely no cover. And the Trebuchet has a perfect angle to just drill down that hole the entire time. It almost seems like maybe going up Delta 4, because then you can kind of zigzag in and out to get there. But it would have been a better plan. But they needed to get there as fast as possible, and that's what they went for. And unfortunately, they took too much damage on the approach. And the Nova, definitely mismanagement of jump jets, just could not get up the hill to help his team. Held to, I believe, about 80 damage. That's huge. You need to have those damage in there
Yep.
from the mediums before getting taken out. Let's go take a look at the replay.
And there were 3 mechs actually for Lords, both Oxides and that Nova, that were sub 100 damage. You just can't win a competitive match like that. Very
Oh,
good job by
I'd like
by
to see
EMP.
here in the replay what approach those Oxides took to get to the battle. Did they come up through the canyon with the rest of their team, or were they able to get to the battle from another angle? Because if they
I
came
think
up
they
through
came
that
up through
canyon,
Theta, if I
Theta
remember
Theta would
correctly.
probably work. It's just such a long approach. So we have all 4 mediums running down the canyon. First jump jet mech gets up. The Hunchback 4SP does not have jump jets. He's running along mid-grade and he gets to the first ramp he finds, but we've got the one-on-one Griffin battle between Wildfire and Heimdallite, and the Trebuchet is just able to help. Here comes the 4SP, 4 EMP, so that's a 3-on-1, and the energy in the 4SP just now gets into the actual fight after already losing one of the most powerful mediums on the field, the Griffin 3M. That's a tough loss right there, to have that go down 1v3 like that. But he was really the only mech that could get there. I believe he was probably hoping that Airlock was going to get there with the Nova to be able to help out, and when that just didn't happen, it's just they were able to have a field day on him big time. And
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if Lords was counting on EMP on being somewhere else. You know, I have a hard time believing they'd run that strategy exactly as we saw it play out. Now, either
oh
it didn't
wow,
work out the way they wanted it to.
that was an 8-1 decision. I was way
Yeah.
off. I apologize for that, but that was an 8-1 decision. So very tough loss for Lords. They need to pull back from that and regroup here. But the damage across the board for EMP, fantastic. Nova went down a little early, only did 134, but everybody else did excellent work.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't imagine that's how Lords, obviously it's not how Lords wanted it to play out.
No.
I think they were either A, didn't execute their strategy the way they wanted it to, or B, they were expecting maybe EMP to hard push Theta, thinking that Lords would be in Delta 3, hard push over Theta, and then have Lords come up behind them on the Charlie 3 side of the ramp. Either way, not how you wanted it to play out. And something just from a personal opinion here, I really think on these light drops, you need to do the strategy that you want to do. Your strategy cannot be dependent on what you think the other team will do in a drop this light. You need to, be kind of decisive in your initial planning, decisive in your movement, and just take it to the enemy. And I feel like Lords didn't do that. That felt to me like they were planning on anticipating what EMP would do rather than just do whatever strategy they think is best. And clearly, whatever they had in mind, that probably was not the result that they wanted. I feel pretty confident in saying that.
But if that's the case, maybe they can figure it out and come back on drop 2.
Yeah.
Viridian Bog, 2 lights, 4 mediums, 2 heavies, 0 assaults, still on skirmish. Streaks can be used now. But let's take a look at the map. What do you think we're going to see on Viridian Bog? We've seen some very interesting strats thus far.
We have seen all sorts of interesting things on this. We've seen some SJR doing a camping strategy back in Echo 3, Delta 3, Delta 2 area, like you're circling there. We've seen some just straight up brawl rushes. We have seen the good old-fashioned sneak through the water, come up behind the enemy team strategy.
That was certainly an interesting one by Untitled Scorpions. Like I said, though, nobody's getting away with doing that one again.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen again. I think that was at least once in a season activity.
But we have been seeing Team 1 range working, and Team 1 is EMP. They just had a trebuchet that did pretty well. What happens if they bring a couple more of those large laser mechs? What are they going to be able to do with it? If any, Team 1 ranged, it's doable. There's not really much you can do on Team 2. I suppose they could probably set up range in Team 2. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. But Team 1,
I think you could set up range on Team 2. You've got the hills here, right, where you can just march right on up there and
Yeah, right through the
fire
walls.
down.
Yep. Very, very clever drawing there, MD. Just drive them right through the walls.
That's exactly right.
Yes, you have
Straight
the famous,
line is the
famous
fastest path to your destination.
famous no clip strategy. But yeah, I mean, Team 2 can do range, but coming up to the boob here, that's what I like to call them, is certainly a risky business if EMP decides that they're going to take it straight through Delta 4, which is a popular pug strat, but there's a reason why it's a popular pug strat, and that's because you can beat the other team to this location right here, which is key, and you can actually send some people up the stairs before Team 2 is able to respond, depending on the size of their engines. This is a relatively fast drop, though, so I would put money on Team 1 getting there in style before Team 2 is really able to get established. And do, because you don't see it on the map, but there's just so much foliage in this area. It's really hard to get clear shots on target without getting right up in their business.
Yeah, I think it's a popular pug strat, but I'm not convinced that's a great move for competitive play. I think you could just set up kind of an arced firing line in the Charlie 4, Charlie 5 area, and just as those guys in Delta 4, it's such a narrow place that Carapace is right over there in Delta 4. You're just going to get bogged down, literally, and just have a really tough time. A really tough time trying to trade from that position, getting stuck on things, shots clipping on the trees and the vines and things. I don't think Delta 4 is the way to go on this map. I think Team 1 is very much best served to stay range. Team 2, they're going to have to try and push brawl, and there are avenues to get close against a range deck on Bog. We saw SJR play the range strat and win it, and I believe that was against Lords, was it not?
Yes, that was against Lords.
Was against Lords.
They were able to take this approach, and they actually came around this side and
I felt they went the wrong side.
And here. I do agree that coming around this side, they could have hit the main body, which was located on this hill, without really worrying about these guys over here. But it was still a very close match. It was still incredibly close for how that went. But we are headed into drop 2. 2 lights, 4 mediums, 2 heavies, 0 assaults on skirmish. Let's take a look.
Now, keep in mind, if Team 2 is bringing a range deck, all you have to do, a brawl deck, all you have to do against a range deck is just get close without taking a significant amount of damage. Even a mild damage differential will still come out in favor of the brawl deck most of the time.
Hopefully the picture-in-picture comes up here. Let me see what's going on there. Oh, there we go. All right, we are on the move. I am on the House of Lords side. We are seeing Griffin 3M, Griffin 2N, so they opted for the dual Griffins. Black Knight, Jenner 2CA, Hunchback 2CB, Catapult C4. We've seen this with Lords before. Psychoholic bringing most likely the Splat Cat and the Nova. Very brawly deck from House of Lords. On the EMP side, we're seeing that Spider 5K now. On the EMP side, Shadowhawk 2D2, Black Knight,
and this
Jenner
is
2C.
More of a brawl deck for EMP this time.
We are going to have a little bit of a brawl versus brawl. 2 lights each on this left boob here, and we will see. I got to come up with another name, a more appropriate name for that.
And you know what EMP is doing right now? They saw that SJR versus Lords. They're setting up a range deck with a couple of their mechs. They got 2 Black Knights and a Hunchback 2C.
What are their
And then they have the rest of their mediums sitting in Charlie 2 around a corner. They remembered that Lords went into that Delta 2 side to try and get on those range mechs. They are sitting there hoping that they will do the same thing where they can jump out from behind them with these brawl mechs and just absolutely smash them.
Now, it looks like Lords is actually heading up and over. I have a feeling that they think that maybe this was a brawl deck, but they're taking some shots now from those ranged mechs. It's going to be a hell of a surprise as they charge over here. And here we go. Lead target, Wildfire in the Griffin 3M, is getting completely annihilated by the Hunchback 2CA. I called it wrong. They are not, EMP is not that brawly. They've got quite a few ranged mechs here. Now...
Yeah, and they've got their brawler still sitting around that corner in Charlie 2.
Seleth up there in the Hunchback 2C. He is about to get brawled up on. He does take Wildfire down. Airlock on him with the Nova.
Does go down.
Seleth is doing a fantastic job
dealing out some damage.
The Hunchback, Yeah, he's in a hell of a lot of trouble, but he is doing a lot of damage for the amount of time he's up there. He is taking it to the sky, death from above. He just
And here
misses
comes
the
those
Nova.
Brawl Mechs for EMP. They are now joining the fight here.
Selith has gone down in the Hunchback 2C, so we are at 1 down each for both sides, but the Brawlers have reached the range max. Both Black Knights fighting up on the top. Heimdallite gets taken down. Solitude is running for his life 1v3. He's down very quickly. This is looking very good for Lords. They have taken some of the biggest mechs down, and we have a big brawl down below with the remaining 4SP, Jenner 2C, and 2D2 3M. These are the brawl mechs, but they are down on numbers. They have taken down 3 House of Lords mechs, so it is even up again, but let's see how the damage is going. Imminent is imminently going to die. The Shadowhawk 2D2 very low at 51%, but they can't seem to seal the deal. Bowser in the Griffin 2N down to 45%, still alive, but now 3 alive for EMP. It could just take a good couple shots from any of these mechs, though, to flip it back the other way. A lot of hurt mechs for Lords, and Nova in the water is fresh in his Jenner 2C. He just needs to start landing some of these SRMs on target. The 4SP has taken down Kriven in the Arctic Cheetah. We are back to a 3-3. It is going to be close, gentlemen. 2 left, Peef Smash and Airlock. Both of them pretty hurt, but they can still fight. Airlock in the Nova getting run up on by Aurora.
And if Airlock loses that torso, he's in a lot of trouble right now. He's got to keep that torso alive.
The Spider is putting a lot of pressure on him. Peef Smash needs to land some of these shots. He does take Nova in the water down, but he shuts down and is getting shredded by the
those machine guns are going to rip him
Aurora
apart.
is just unloading on him, but the Nova is still alive. Let's see if he can get some of these shots, and he's got to be running hot. He's got to be running hot. The Spider is honestly the biggest threat right now. I think Slummy is maybe just a head laser at this point, so they're focusing all their attention.
Yes, he is just a head laser at this point.
On the Spider 5K. Peef Smash in a dance around the tree with him, but he is very close to being taken down. I think the Spider is now out of machine gun ammo, so he is down to a single
Spider is out of
laser.
ammo, and he has legs. This is
going
going to go in
he
Lord's
needs to seal
favor
the
at this
deal.
point.
He still has a laser, and he does go down. And it looks like this is actually going to go in favor of Lords if they can take him out, and they do.
Wow.
That was a close battle with a split deck range and brawl deck for EMP, and it looked like it was working pretty well, but the aggressiveness of Lords to come in and take the Black Knights out as quickly as humanly possible really made a huge difference there. Fantastic.
And what did I say about Airlock with that Nova? If he kept that torso alive, and he did, 705 damage for that Nova, 3 kills. Just a ridiculous amount of damage for an 8v8 match. Slummy with 530 and the Hunchback 4SP did a great job staying alive, but with 1 laser left. And he actually got a kill with that 1 head laser, but just not enough firepower. As soon as they lost the machine gun ammo in the Spider 5K, I think that game was over.
Oh, it couldn't have been closer, though. I mean, Peef Smash stayed alive, and he had to have been
Did a great job,
He had to have been Cherry, but he was twisting and jumping and popping around, doing everything in his power to keep himself alive. But, you know, that was basically the Spider and the Hunchback down to essentially just head lasers, zombie lasers. And at that point, things were looking pretty grim for EMP. But that was certainly a close match. Lords takes it. And we are now at a 1-1 decision. Now, the drop 1 for Lords definitely cost them quite a bit, only landing 1 kill, so they are behind on the C-Bills. But they have come back strong and are still definitely in this. Wow. Let's take a look at the map.
That was a great match.
So,
holy smokes.
Lords came in and immediately took positions on the boob and basically positioned themselves right here. Now we had, what was it ranged in C2?
No, in Charlie 2 actually, and let me show you the exact position here. I'm going to have to erase what you got.
That's fine.
Charlie 2 actually consisted of 3 brawl mechs in this little concave.
Wow, were they hidden?
They were hidden in Charlie 2, and they were expecting Lords to do that same strategy into Delta 2. They were going to
try to ambush them.
They were ready to ambush, and you know what happened? When Lords pushed over this hill, first of all, I thought the Black Knights did a fantastic job of taking down the lead mech for Lords coming over this hill. Lords lost a mech coming over that hill,
Yeah, they got hit pretty bad.
And they had Salith
in fact,
and Hunchback
well,
here.
to be fair, the 3M did make it up there to Salith, who was in the Hunchback 2C, and he actually managed to take out the 3M with the help of the Black Knights. So that was a pretty good trade-off. Salith then retreats back to the rest of his team and gets taken out shortly after with a very high jump off the spire, just trying to buy himself any time he possibly could. But Lords came in very strong and pursued and was able to jump on those two Black Knights. While this was happening, and it was a little bit off camera, it looked to me like there was some sort of fight happening in this region here with the 4 Brawler mechs for EMP against a majority of the force for Lords. It really, if those Black Knights on Delta 2 stayed alive any longer, it could have very well gone in EMP's favor.
And
but
you know what happened?
It looked like there was some really good backcores potentially.
Yeah. What happened was in this initial push out of that corner, EMP actually found a Black Knight here, and they backcored him out. But in the process, the rest of Lord's kind of medium brawlers wound up pushing over to this point the majority of their force, and they only had a couple mechs engaging those Black Knights on Delta 2.
But they did the job very quickly.
And they did the job very quickly.
That had to have involved a little bit of backcoring, because I saw a lot of twisting. I think it was Solitude and maybe Solitude and Heimdallite up there. I might be wrong on that. But the mechs, I'm looking at their percentages. I'm like, they're fighting for their lives. And then, boom, they went down. I'm like, wow, that went way quicker than I anticipated. And I want to say that Lords did a really good job at surrounding and taking advantage of those exposed backs.
Yep.
And both of those Black Knights dropped very quickly. Let's go take a look at the replay. Let's find the best start time here. That is not the best start time. So we have the initial charge. Now, Lords did not do the same thing they did before. I think that this might have been a case of, well, they're going to do what SJR did to us. Let's approach this differently. They didn't do any wide approaches, and I think, it was kind of like the counter to the counter to the counter, where EMP thought that, okay, well, they're going to come through here to hit our range deck. Well, Lord said, well, that didn't work last time, so let's try something different, and just went straight into him. Perhaps it's because they only saw, at first glance, a couple mechs up there. I'm not sure, but they wasted no time basically going straight in on Selith. But, like you said, those Black Knights and Selith included were able to put a lot of fire on that lead mech, which was fantastic. The Nova just goes flying past. Airlock
and I really felt Selith did a good job staying alive for a while there. I thought that was a
this
great
jump
thing
just
for them.
like they're whiffing shots trying to take him down. That's buying his team time, which is a very good maneuver. I don't think that was bad. But here comes the back shots onto Heimdallite. They came up. The Nova made it up there. Surprise! You got a Nova shooting you in the back, and then right away Solitude starts taking into the back, and they immediately fan out on all sides and take him out very quickly. That right there just undid any time that Selith bought for his team, because here we go. We've got a massive push into that brawl down below. And that could not have been closer. So it's essentially brawl versus brawl at this point, but the EMP mechs that were remaining did a really good job winning down there for the most part until the rest of their team ended up showing up. I actually thought that was going EMP's way for a little bit, but then the Lord's mechs that were dealing with the Black Knights got involved, and it started swinging the other way. And running short on the ammo for the Spider, of course, that is pretty costly.
And I really feel if that Spider had kept his ammo at that point, he was still pretty fresh. Now, he did get legged, and that might have been the deciding factor. But I think with that ammo, that Jenner 2C would have gone down, and it would have gone down a little faster. And then at that point, who knows, maybe EMP would have taken it. But, when's the last time you could say that a competitive match was decided potentially by a Spider running out of machine gun ammo?
He definitely didn't have a large pulse on that either. I think he had, a single small pulse paired with that Spider 5K, maybe opting for additional ammo and a faster engine or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the standard build is, but it again,
usually it's a single large pulse and single large. Oh, he had the large pulse. He had the large pulse. So I was getting confused by the small pulses coming from Peep Smash, but no, he has that fast firing large pulse laser doing whatever he could, and that's still very dangerous. it was impressive that he was not able to take out Peep Smash. Peep Smash definitely using his speed to his advantage and sealing the deal there. That could not have been closer. But if Peep Smash went down a little bit sooner, Airlock could have been poked to death from two different directions, and that could have been pretty costly. Could have gone the other way. But that was exciting. Now, hopefully you guys enjoy the changes to the pip here. I'm definitely looking for feedback from you guys. We make it so you can see whose cockpit he's in, and we brought the paper dolls in closer from both sides and blew them up slightly so you can see the status of both the target and the mech itself. So far, I've been pretty pleased with it. Just watching the replay there, I actually found my eyes going down to that first-person view because it's something that I wasn't able to see during the battle, and that was definitely a fresh perspective. So we are heading shortly into Drop 3, which is not the map strat.
And it's the first of the Conquest matches for tonight's MRBC matchup.
Yep, we are going into Tourmaline Desert Conquest. Let's take a look at the map. We've seen quite a few different things here. It seems to me like a lot of this has to do with good movement. I know House of Lords likes to play the cap game, especially under the championing of Peep Smash, but they can also throw you for a loop a little bit, taking another approach to it. We'll have to see what they decide to do, but I'm going to say it again because I always say it, but you usually see a little bit of an alpha versus alpha exchange of fire here, but the past, 3 times I've said that, it hasn't been happening, so perhaps that's low division gameplay, which includes myself, but yeah, that has not been happening. I think we saw, what was it, Lords versus SJR? They actually came in, I believe, and just charged straight through Theta. They actually cut directly through Theta, and we had a little bit of a range deck here for SJR in backing up into this area, and it was pretty close. It was pretty close, but it did definitely go in favor of Lords. It's tough when you're being run down by brawl decks to be on a hot map with lasers, shooting as fast as you desperately can. And this really does seem to, in the current meta, if you execute a brawl properly and you are able to make your team miscue a little bit in their movements, you can definitely do some damage with a brawl deck. But I'd be interested to see if a brawl versus ranged, if the ranged team on this map can pull it off. What do you think we're going to see today?
I think Lords has been aggressive throughout every match that we've seen them play at this point. I expect them to continue to be aggressive. I think especially their success versus SJR on this match, which was a close match, and frankly, I think it really came down to just individual piloting to win that match, just getting good, quick snapshots off and twisting damage. But you're right. I think right now the current meta is a little bit in favor of brawl decks. Tourmaline is not necessarily a cool map. It's a little warm, so you're going to be worried about running up against that heat cap running the range decks, and as soon as you do that, you're in a lot of trouble if you allow a brawl deck to get on top of you. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a brawl from both teams, to be honest. I think Team 1 also has a little bit of an advantage to push from Delta 5 Alpha Lance into Echo 4 if they see a range deck set up. I think there's actually a little more cover than people realize during that kind of charge forward, so I wouldn't be surprised to see brawl out of both teams. Maybe one will take range, but I'm not sure about that.
There's a name that we're actually missing here. I don't think he was in any of the drops, and I believe there's a reason behind that. We haven't seen Proton at all, have we?
I have not. And,
from what I was seeing in chat, apparently it's a Russian holiday today. I did not know that, but
I guess you put some time off in.
Tourmaline without Proton, I don't know what that means. Proton
feels a little weird, doesn't
Proton it? With dual Gauss, Proton with AC5s. I mean, he can land these ballistics like none other. It's superhuman, and not having him on Tourmaline, we'll have to see if that makes a difference here, because we consistently see him as top damage in Tourmaline Desert, using anything from Maulers to, I saw him in dual Gauss Jaegers doing really well. Yep. He can put that stuff down range and never misses. And not having him, that's a serious blow for EMP.
Yeah, that is a good point. We haven't seen that. I guess he took some time off from EMP and is hopefully enjoying his time if he's still awake right now. I don't know
Is it
exactly
like
what
a
time it is in
vodka
Russia.
holiday? I have no idea what holiday it could possibly be.
I'm
but
assuming since it's a Russian holiday, it is, but
it involves
maybe
some
that's
sort of vodka.
inappropriate to say.
Oh,
So I
yes,
apologize
those.
if you're Russian and offended by that. But that's my stereotypical assumption there.
You're such a racist. Both teams are getting readied up in lobby, so we will be heading in shortly. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show so far. This obviously is a very close match here, being 1-1, and I'm hoping that it ends up in a 2-3 decision. I really am. But because I love 2-3 decisions, you know that.
I'm hoping for a 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2, 2-3. What I don't like is 4-1s, because that's my worst nightmare. If you know anything about how our last season went.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a little bit of a light show with the ready buttons. Flash, flash, flash. But both teams are readied up, and we are heading in. Drop 3, Tourmaline Desert, Conquest. 0 lights, 3 mediums, 4 heavies, 1 assault, and the assault has to be a victor. Still no strikes. Let's take a look.
And again, we've mentioned this a little bit before in the stream, but we are testing out some things for the picture-in-picture. Please do give feedback if you have anything to give to us on how we can improve. Things that you might like to see, let us know, and we can certainly work towards that.
So, quick look over here on the EMP side. I am seeing Heimdallite in a Black Knight, Selith in a Hunchback 2C, Large Pulse Laser, PPC AC5 from Twinkie Overlord, Jägermech DD, Ultra AC5s, good old-fashioned DD with Slummy. So they are in a mid-rangey deck with some autocannons.
And those Jägermechs can be pretty devastating if they can get the autocannons rolling without the jam chance. They can do a lot of damage.
The rest of their guys, large pulse lasers, SRM, AC-10, Shadowhawk 2D2, medium laser, large pulse laser, Grasshopper. So very mid-rangey. What do we have over on, let's take a look, the House of Lords side? They have come up through Hoop, and it looks like a pretty aggressive maneuver here. But I'm seeing a lot of autocannons from Lords as well. They are tossing it into EMP, who's tossing it right back. This is a hell of a firefight. We got autocannons and PPCs flying back and forth aggressively. Let's bring up the percentage here. Cycleholic, 64% in the Orion.
It looks like EMP is pulling back off this hill. They allowed Lords to come up close, and now let's see if Lords can out-brawl them.
Looks like we are not worrying anything about caps here. Selith down to 78% in the Hunchback 2C, but...
he did lose both his arms, but those are just shield arms, and he's doing just fine on armor right now.
A lot of SRMs, AC5s, Crab 27B, 5 medium pulse laser out of Bowser, and here we go. House of Lords has entered the fight. They are looping around. It looks like they're trying to get the 2D2 and the 4SP.
They found those brawl mechs, yep.
They had backed those up to try and get a backcourt, but they didn't allow them to get the jump on them. Vuktek in the Orion has gone down, but Selith in the Hunchback 2C, those were the 2 most hurt mechs. Psychoholic in the Orion goes down as well. So far in favor of EMP. In fact, the percentages show that as well. They need to get some desperate focus here. Airlock is putting whatever he can into the 2D2. He does get the kill. 3 down now for EMP, but 4-5 down for Lords. They need to get in there and do whatever they can to the remaining mechs. Heimdallite gets a shutdown, but gets away with it and continues to put shots on target. Down to 74 or 64%, but he is not the focus. They are getting on Slummy in the DD, trying to take the autocannons out, but Induced Shadow shuts down and actually gets in the way of the rest of his team. Kind of inhibits their movement. Wildfire doing the best he can with his Flamer. I don't know if does he have any SRMs left? I don't even think he has SRMs left.
I don't think he does.
He's just got the 1 Flamer. He's doing whatever he can to lock down the Grasshopper, but things not looking good for Lords.
Yeah, and
just the Crab
EMP
remaining.
has a fresh Black Knight just providing Overwatch. Hardly has any damage on him whatsoever. This game is going to go in EMP's favor.
Wildfire is
to
locking down the Grasshopper, but it's not enough because Heimdallite, Solitude, and Twinkie are fanned out and just laying into Bowser. And he, with his remaining couple medium pulses, are not able to get the job done. Wildfire has no more usable weapons, and it goes 8-3 in favor of Imperial. And now they just need to clean up the caps.
You know, I felt that Lords had the advantage there on that initial brawl. I didn't necessarily like how spread out, and some of the mechs felt that they were too close for EMP. but they did a good job making sure that when the Lord's mechs pushed in, they had some of their ranged mechs, I think, circle around behind them. Like I said, Solitude and his Black Knight basically wound up behind all of Lord's brawlers, sitting there in a fresh Black Knight just firing away. That's a devastating mech to have, in your. It's a devastating mech to have right in front of you. It's really devastating to have it behind you. So just a nice, clean response. Another mixed deck by EMP, and it works out for him.
I would think the spreading out of EMP's mechs, having the two brawlers up behind him like that really was kind of a genius maneuver, because if they curved to try and take care of those two mechs that were up, the 4SP and the 2D2, I believe,
Yeah.
they have to expose their backs to the rest of the EMP team, and that is
and the 4SP went down pretty quickly, but that 2D2 stayed alive for a good long time, and I think part of that was because Lords was forced to not necessarily ignore him, but couldn't put full pressure on him because of those mechs shooting him in the back. But this kind of it felt like the same strat that EMP wanted to run on Viridian Bog, right? Having a couple brawlers kind of serving as an ambush, except this time it felt that it worked. Lords pushed right into brawl range. Those two mechs were right around the corner. The previous time on Viridian Bog, Lords didn't quite push where they wanted them to go, and EMP had to send their brawlers out to engage rather than just sit there and wait.
Slumming into Jägermech DD, pulling 631 damage, 537 for Carnage and the Grasshopper, 543 for the Dragon Slayer. Just high numbers. The 4SP doing his job at the beginning. Basically, I can't believe they opted to actually go for the 4SP. I believe the 4SP is a very high DPS mech because of the medium lasers, but you're on Tourmaline, it's not sustainable. They went in on the 4SP, he only pulls 84 damage, but the whole time they were doing that, these guys are able to just plow shots into the rear, and
the other brawler in the Shadowhawk 2D2 Vision did 369 damage. He was the other one right there with that Hunchback, managed to live for a while, do a good amount of damage.
I just feel like the approach, they didn't have a commitment to who they were going after.
Yep.
I mean, I'm picturing in my head a call being made to engage the first thing that the first guy around the corner sees, and just mass confusion as to where that target was.
Yeah, it did feel like they kind of, after that initial push, they spread out a little bit with those engagements. And like I said, that felt like the Viridian Bog strat, but run correctly this time. It really did seem like it was the same sort of concept, and it worked very well for EMP, I would say. And if you have two mechs that are literally the first thing that standing in the push, essentially, 50 meters away from when the brawl mechs crest the hill, that Shadowhawk and that Hunchback 4SP, one of them obviously went down very quickly. The Shadowhawk, if you can be 50 meters away from a brawl deck when it comes over the hill and you can still do almost 400 damage, I think you're going to win that match. And clearly they won that match, and they won that match pretty handily there, 8-3.
Let's take a look at the map. So Lord's actually opting to take a very familiar strat, as we saw before. That's dangerous against DMP, because we know for a fact they watch all comp teams. They're in all of our streams all the time, watching everything, and they're probably taking notes. So Lord's does come up through Theta again to get kind of to stage, actually. Mm-hmm. And EMP, instead of going over here like what SJR did, they actually opted to lay down some amazing fire from that place where I said people would be shooting from, Alpha, and then as soon as they breach around Theta, they actually backed up, and some of their guys went back here. We had the key movement of those two brawler mechs into here, and then just a fan out of all of their ranged, just creating a killing field. Yep. So I think there was a little bit of a split. Lords went in there, some of them probably came out like this, but bottom line, there was a period where mechs were just not dying fast enough. They did get that 4SP down relatively quick, but at what cost? And we look up and we see, I made a mistake of saying the two weakest mechs were killed right off the bat. That's not actually the case. I think Wooktek was in an Orion as well. They went for dual Orions.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to die, but he was not the Orion that took the most damage on the approach. So they actually took down Wooktek, who was relatively fresh, and then were able to immediately follow it up on the other Orion and take him down really quick, who was already damaged. So that's big. Being able to after an approach like that, now they're in brawl range, and you still get to take out a completely fresh mech at brawl range. That's a sign that it's going to go in your favor, I think, if they can maintain that style of focus.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the difference between EMP strat and SJR strat previously on the same map against the same team. As we mentioned, SJR set up kind of in this Delta 4 area, and it forces Lords to come in through some choke points, but at the same time it reduces your amount of options from where you're shooting from, your firing angles. On the other hand, we had EMP with the same strategy that we saw before from SJR essentially, but instead setting up with firing angles all the way across here, all the way even coming around back from where EMP had or where Lords had come from. And the difference there, I think, is that you're not forcing a brawl deck through a choke point, which can be a positive thing if you have a firing line, but instead you're forcing them to spread out, to divide their attention, or to get shot from multiple angles, to get shot in the back, and that's a devastating thing to have happen to you. So I like the open field firing line concept with the ranged deck if you can play it right, and if you can get that initial damage down, like you said, having one Orion be weakened already before you kill it, and killing another mech before that is great.
And EMP knew that Lords was committed to the rush. They did not take Sigma at the start or anything like that. They knew, you watch that map and you know they're not committing to any sort of cap game. Lords could have potentially slowed it down, sitting at Theta, maybe spread some people out, but they don't have any lights. That's a long truck for brawler mediums to go get Kappa and Sigma, and that really puts yourself at risk. So they were committed to the brawl. EMP knows this, and they are committed to stopping it, and they position themselves very professionally. Now, these guys are getting readied up relatively quick, so let's take just a quick look at some of the key points here in the replay. We're going to do a little bit of hopping around. So here we go at the approach. Come on, YouTube. That's a little bit too far back. Okay, so here's the approach, and right away, the Orion there was that Psychoholic getting completely pummeled by all of that coming from the Alpha Lance. They were definitely putting it on strong. They were taking a little bit of it, too. Selith in the Hunchback 2C was the lowest on EMP's side. So they made it through Theta. And so now they technically have cap advantage, because of course Lords can see that EMP is not committing to the caps either. So they reach stage, they're getting poked a little bit, gathering everybody up here, and then here comes the initial brawl right through that choke point. Shots flying in like crazy. Now this is where a bunch of them took a left turn. I do see a couple of them fanning out to the right. Nope, they all opted for the left, so they are all jumping on that 4SP, but they lose Wooktek, who's the closest Orion to the entire firing line there, and that 4SP is still alive. They get the Hunchback 2C, which was the initial hurt target, so they continued on to him and finished him off. The 4SP, though, still going. He is the next focus target. It's hard to leave him alone when you've got these guys sitting here. I think going for the Jägermech Slummy next is very good call, because you can't just let him sit there and wail on you like that. But by that point, 5 dead, it's too little too late, unfortunately. I almost would have rather have seen maybe a split. If you need somebody to tangle with the 4SP, put somebody on him. Did they have a 4SP themselves? I don't think they did.
I don't remember seeing
Hell,
one, but
put
here we
the
go. We're
frickin'
dropping
crab
into the next
on him.
match.
Yeah, put the frickin' crab on the 4SP as a sacrifice while the rest of you guys move into the action there. That's the only thing I can think of that they could have possibly done differently. But that was a very good firing line by EMP.
And here we go. Drop 4 is just about started here.
Drop 4, 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults. On Conquest, strikes are allowed. We are on Frozen City Night. They moved relatively quickly here, getting all set up. So let's take a look and get the pip up on the screen. Here we go. MD killed himself. We have House of Lords, Black Knight, Mauler MX-90, Hunchback 4SP, Atlas S, Jenner Oxide, Jenner 2C, Orion. We've been seeing a lot of Orions lately. I believe those are like the mini Atlases, and a Nova. On the EMP side, Atlas S, two Black Knights, Mauler MX-90, Jenner 2C, Jenner Oxide, Shadowhawk 2D2, Stormcrow, Selith.
Yeah, and that's a streak Stormcrow, clearly going for the anti-light, maybe trying to prevent a 3 cap from this drop, although the streak Stormcrow is set up in Charlie 3 with the rest of the team, so not necessarily doing a Theta prevent with that streak Crow.
Now, Lords is playing it slow. They have gone for the 2 cap, and we're going to have a little bit of our face-off here, where nobody wants to be brave enough to touch Theta because it might cause the rush. EMP, though, is getting set up underneath Saddle here, thinking they might come in strong on this. Lords definitely spreading their mechs out, preparing to receive a Brawl Rush. So it'll be interesting to see if EMP calls the rush. How are they going to handle this? Now, the whole time that they're setting up here... I don't think EMP wants
to rush. They have their Mauler Twinkie sitting back in the backfield. They don't want to push over. They'll leave that Mauler behind.
I agree. You know, that's a very good point. And they also have Nova in water, was up on dropship, getting a very good look at the positioning of Lords. So if EMP did push through... they will see, you know, they'll have an idea of where all the Lord's mechs are perched up. That scouting information is valuable. Nova now taking a look down at Lower City, just trying to get angles. But Heimdallite in the Black Knight with the large pulse lasers tossing some shots out, just getting some scratch on Criven. We have a strike, our first strike. It looks like that might have been placed on Heimdallite there. It could have been a whiff, though. I'm not sure how it got
He did take a little bit of damage, but not very much. 1% from that strike. I think one hit.
Somebody must have put the strike right on his head. Lords is actually moving up. Two-tail dropship. Looks like they want to move. And here we go. We have movement into Lower City. Twinkie in the Mauler is getting a couple shots in, but he's obscured right now. Selith in the Street Crow has breached over Saddle. He is ambushing Peep Smash in the Jenner 2C. He is running for his life to join his team. Down to 61%. Bowser in the Mauler MX-90 hanging back, but the main Brawl Force has engaged. Psychoholic is getting hit hard, using his arm as much as possible to tank. It does get blown off, and he, I think, just has his SRMs left, but he gets taken down very quickly. Over on this side, they have engaged Solitude, who is also in an Atlas S, but he is not going down quite as fast as Psychoholic did. Big
and they
fight
are leaving
over on this
Twinkie
side.
alone in that. Oh, and he just took an alpha to the back. Never mind. They are not leaving Twinkie alone. He's
Arara and Nova were engaging energy over here. He's down to 25%. He's down. Criven doing whatever he can against Arara. We got a little bit of an Oxide fight over here. While this is going on, Peef Smash goes down to a well-placed 2D2 SRM volley. Forest P goes down. This is not going good for Lords. Airlock is the last remaining mech in this neck of the woods while that 1v1 goes on. Criven is trying to get something done over there, but let's see if Airlock can get the hit on Twinkie Overlord. The Mauler does go down, but it costs him an overheat, and he gets taken down. And that is it for Lords. EMP takes it, and they go up 3-1.
Well, I think what we can say there is that Lords played right into EMP's hands. They spread out, had a firing line ready to receive. It felt like both teams wanted the other team to push. You know, it seemed like Lords was spread out in a firing line at the tail of dropship, and EMP was spread out kind of in that tactical hill region, and Lords blinked first. They pushed into that line. They had the Mauler off to the side. The Mauler was not the focal point of Lord's push, and he just sat in the back. Twinkie doing 542 damage, tops in the game in that Mauler. You just can't leave that Mauler up. And then both Black Knights still alive. Just another very clean win for EMP.
Bowser held down to 130 damage in that Mauler MX-90. He, you know, you would expect him to be able to put out quite a bit more damage in that compared to Twinkie Overlord, his match on the other team, 542 damage. Bowser was just really not in the fight.
Yeah, and I think he got run up on by lights.
Well, he had the Street Crow and a light come across. They started owning Peef Smash behind the dropship. He was running for his life. And then, you know, the Mauler then, Bowser, stopped charging up and actually opted to try and assist, or at least was afraid of the fact that he had a Street Crow and a light coming up behind him like that. But he turned. He slowed down. He didn't shoot
Yeah.
at main body. He was effectively taken out of the fight by a light and a street crow, and that's big. Holding a Mauler down to that much damage, that's very big. So
Yeah.
over on the Frozen City map here, if I can bring it up. Why aren't you working?
As I mentioned, it really felt like both teams wanted the other team to push, setting up the initial firing lines, and then Lords decided to push. Not necessarily a clean push, like you said, having that Mauler get slow down and then get taken out of the fight effectively is really tough. It leaves that Atlas out to dry, and Psychoholic and the Atlas got taken down to only doing 90 damage. Just easily the focus target. I mean, it's an Atlas, to focus that when that push comes. You need that Mauler backing it up with that firepower coming down range while the Atlas is taking all the damage.
So we have here the initial movements by both teams. We had these guys all setting up at dropship here, but they had their Mauler sitting back on a hill, back tactical hill. And so they had a light moving up and around, just getting good vision here, and then Lords decided it was time to move. So they gathered tail of dropship and opted to charge in. So after the initial charge, we have the good setup here for EMP, and they actually sent their Street Crow and their light over here. Peef Smash was operating in this region and had to retreat. The Mauler stopped at tail of dropship right there to try and help, and the rest of them charged straight in, and they lost their Atlas very quickly. They lost their Atlas, and then we moved over and took a look, and then they were working on the Atlas for EMP, and it took them a lot longer to take that EMP Atlas down. I think that cost them a lot of time.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind, that whole time while they were engaged, we had EMP with Twinkie Overlord and the Mauler kind of hanging out on his own, off to the side a little bit. And as House of Lords pushes up into this main body, you have a Mauler just firing down from the side, basically ignored for most of the fight. Now, they did get the Jenner 2C on that Mauler. He did get one back shot on Twinkie Overlord and that Mauler, which just ripped him open. We know that Jenner 2C has a ridiculous alpha on it. It wasn't enough to kill that Mauler in one shot. Twinkie did a fantastic job backing up into the buildings and putting his back to the wall. Assault pilots, if you are in an assault and you have a light behind you, back yourself up into a wall against some sort of building, something, to prevent them from getting that back shot. Twinkie did that and was able to survive until his teammates came back to support him to peel some of those lights off of him. He did eventually die, but at that point the game was long since in hand.
So we're looking at the replay right now. Psychoholic charging up essentially 1v3 against Black Knights and other laser mechs on a cold map. That's brutal. The rest of his team moved out to the right side to try and engage that right flank. We did see Bowser basically throwing himself away just to try and get something done in the back, and he actually died relatively early. I think that let's see if I can spot exactly when he went down. I think the Street Crow and the Light Mech might have done their jobs back there. He's dead even at this point. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and we saw actually, this is kind of interesting. We saw SJR bring kind of the same drop deck on Frozen City from the same side and try and spread out and essentially lose that match against Lords with the
I think it was either Nova. It was either a Nova or and I say Nova, but he's not in a Nova. He's in a Gen 2C or Aurora. Somebody took Bowser out in the back there, and that losing a Mauler MX-90 to a 1v1 like that is brutal. And he wasn't there to help the rest of his team. That's a big loss. That really sets your team behind, unfortunately. He needed to stay with his group, and I think maybe some early warning of that charge over to Saddle to give the rest of their team something to work with. But EMP's Street Crow and Light really got to jump over Saddle. It was very well timed, very well timed, and they got over very quickly. So we are heading into drop 5 on Caustic Valley. 2 lights, 0 mediums, 2 heavies, 4 assaults. Strikes once again allowed. Lords has technically lost, but they are definitely going to do whatever they can to pull 2 matches out of EMP. We are
and
on
this
Conquest,
is the map that
so...
we see the DACA mechs come out. This is where you typically see 4 DACA assaults, or maybe 3 DACA assaults, and like a Banshee or a Battlemaster Laser Vomit build. I would expect to see 2 Maulers from both teams on this.
So we are taking a look. Both teams coming in on the dropships. Team 2 is House of Lords. Gargoyle D, Generoxide, Orion VA, Atlas S, Atlas DDC went for the dual Atlases on this one. Black Knight, Jenner 2C, and Executioner makes up their entire group. On the EMP side, I am seeing Mauler MX90, Banshee 3M, Atlas S, Black Knight, Mauler MX90. So went with the dual Maulers, probably bring in some UAC
right
AC5. Jaeger
It's the
McDD.
triple AC5 dual UAC build.
Spider 5K. So it seems like the Ember did not win out over the Spider on this tier of match. They did not opt for the Ember, but Spider 5K and Jenner Oxide. So a lot more ballistics, I'd say. Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, more ballistics on the EMP side, because we've got the Atlases, of course, and the Oxide. But what does the Gargoyle have on him? Let's see if I can see. Airlock is actually moving into the Caldara. 12 small pulse lasers. Definitely bringing the laser boat, and they are going through the hottest part of the map. Not sure if that's the best plan. They're obviously trying to close
EMP's
the gap.
Atlas Solitude is sitting back in Delta 2. He's, I guess, waiting for the push to come over. They're trying to bait them into Delta 3, it looks like. I mean, this is a Brawler Atlas that's sitting 500 meters away from the Caldera.
Does he have LRMs and ER large lasers?
Yeah, it's a fire support Atlas, clearly.
Oh, energy getting popped. He is
and here's
actually
the
getting
Maulers
caught up
opening
on
up.
the Atlases. Took a lot of damage. Could not back out because Cafe and Bowser were running into him. I'm sure that was getting a little bit hot in TeamSpeak there. Airlock did take a lot of initial hits from the Gargoyle, but they actually switched targets. He's engaging Seleth in the Black Knight and actually doing quite a bit of damage. He takes him out. Wooktek is getting focused down in the Orion. They're doing everything they can to take him down as quickly as possible. We have 1 down for Lords, but 2 down for EMP. Energy is the next focus target. Psychoholic is very low as well. Those 2 mechs are going to go down in rapid succession. Bowser has finally reached the fight, but he has been dealing some pretty significant damage with his SRM. Solitude, bad overheat in his Atlas S. Getting hit by Criven in the back with SRMs. 2 now left for EMP. The Spider 5K and the Jenner Oxide. They're going to do whatever they can to take out these mechs, but 4 alive for Lords. It looks like this is going to go in favor of Lords.
Yeah, this is going to go in favor of Lords here.
Oh my god.
And those Jenner 2Cs are fresh for Lords. There's no way that the Spider can hang in.
Sorry, I think I choked on some spit. And the last mech left is Coburn. And he goes down.
Coburn goes down. Wow, that was an interesting strategy by EMP. I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to do with that Atlas sitting back, but he pushed too late. If he was trying to bait, trying to be fresh when the fight began, he pushed too late. I mean, at that point, they had already lost one of their mechs for EMP. And, yeah, a good, hard brawl by Lords, and they were able to pull it back, get a final again, a 3-2 decision. We haven't seen anything else, really, between any of the teams we talked about in the opening for these matches. So a great fight by Lords there, but a little bit of some interesting decisions by EMP. I wonder whether that was the strat they really wanted to do or whether it just kind of got a little confused, but clearly didn't quite work out for how they wanted it to. But again, Lords wins it, and EMP takes the series overall. Lords takes the match.
So
taking a look at the
congratulations
damage here.
to EMP, definitely, for winning this out. But good job to House of Lords for not giving up. They came in strong on that rush, and they actually kept a lot of their initial targets that got hit really hard, kept them alive. And I think that was really a difference maker, especially watching Psychoholic, who took quite a bit of early damage, able to filter to the back and then get some pretty key kills with those small pulse lasers to the back of some of the EMP mechs. I think that really is what makes
Just
a
taking
huge
a look
difference.
at the damage here across the board, EMP had higher damage than Lords. I mean, Lords had a couple mechs, uh,
Wow, yeah, you ain't
four
kidding.
mechs below 200 damage for Lords. A highest damage was 429. EMP had two mechs that had higher damage. Uh, an entire lance, Bravo lance, above 400 damage, and still lost that match. Lords must have done a spectacular job getting the back shots and getting those precision shots in to bring those mechs down, because they certainly did not win the damage fight.
Absolutely. So that is the match for. I love 3-2 decisions. I'm just saying.
And we had another one.
There it is. EMP takes it over Lords 3-2. C-Bills, though, heavily in favor of EMP. EMP, when they got their wins, they were definitely
They were
strong
definite
wins.
wins.
So that really pushes things in their favor. But it wasn't a clear, decisive victory, though. And so that just goes to show EMP still seems like they're on top. But these guys are right on their heels. All they got to do is start paying a little bit more attention to the strats, not the strats that they think EMP is necessarily going to use, but their strats that they've used before, because you know EMP's watching and you know that they're going to come up with some sort of counter to that. So you really have to be a trend center and come up with something new to really throw them for a loop. You can't just go with your typical playbook because they know it by now. You're going to have to come up with something new if you want to succeed against these guys. But that's a really good preview of kind of the powerhouses we're going to be seeing in the $100,000 tournament. And I can't wait to see how some of those go. Before we get into the replay here, I didn't do any giveaways the whole
Yeah, we had some comments in
frickin'
chat. That was
time.
no giveaways tonight. It's a little tough.
So hopefully you guys have been sticking around, because if you have, you're in luck. Because I'm about to go nuts. Let's take MD off the list. Moobot.
Poor MD.
Never putting Moobot on the list ever. Let's do this. And a pretty good crowd out there today. Seen quite a few people. Up over 130. I love it. I love it. I love that we got all these people interested in watching some excellent competitive MWO. And definitely love how many people like to watch the VODs after the fact. We definitely have more viewers watching the VODs than we do live. So, Old Hasu, you are the winner. We will be sending you the code shortly after the stream is completed. And you know what? Let's take you off the list. And let's do another one. Because I'm feeling generous. Do it up! Going for our second winner of the night. And the winner is... Oh, Cheater 2 almost had it, but Zerul 21 steals it in the end. Congratulations. We'll be sending you those codes as well. I'm going to do one more giveaway, but I'm going to make you guys wait. Let's look at that match. Why not? So we are looking at the replay now. So we have the initial movement of House of Lords coming through Kildara. Obviously going through a very hot area with their very lasery mechs, but they really weren't shooting much while they were in the Kildara, so it doesn't really affect them that much in terms of heat. So
Yeah, just
they weren't planning on staying there for damn sure. But we have Energy up in front with the Black Knight, and he is taking some peeks there. And this is, I think, a very nasty moment where he starts getting pelted. And who is behind him? Two frickin' Atlases. And if I was him, I would have been screaming at the top of my lungs, "Get the frick out of the way!" But he does get back to safety. That did delay the charge a little bit, but here is the Executioner. That's Airlock, I believe, in the Executioner, gets up behind Selith and just starts plowing some small pulse into him. While that's occurring, though, the Orion is getting completely decimated, and this this was hard to really call, but getting the early kills on Selith there and the DD, I didn't even see when the DD went down, and then the Mauler, and then the Banshee goes down. I mean, those kills
just some
were
precision
rapid,
shots.
very, very good focus. The fact that the guys who were alive were at such high percentages, Lords were not missing their targets, and they just the damage discrepancy, how fast they were taking those mechs down, that was definitely impressive. I never saw when Solitude went down there either. I gotta look for that.
Yeah, and like we mentioned at the end of the match, I mean, it had to have been quick, good, well-placed shots with good focus fire because the damage was all in favor of EMP heavily, but Lords obviously with the kills.
Solitude is actually getting backcored by Peef Smash and Criven. Fantastic light work by Lords on that one. Just pounding round after round into Solitude and then sticking to it. And he gets killed by that small pulse. Executioner sneaks in at the end to finish the job for the lights. That was huge. I didn't even see those lights over there, but they were definitely doing work.
Yeah, and you know what? Chat right now is just talking about how much work those lights did and not getting recognized. Stick around, guys. You'll find out in just a couple minutes here that you are getting recognized.
Oh, yeah. We got to take another look at that light play there. That was definitely key for the match here. It was hard to see at the angle, but they were the ones who took down that Mauler MX-90 too. You can see the dead body laying right there. They took out Hyperlight. Yep. That is good work by Criven and Peef Smash to soften up and ultimately take down those heavy assaults. Heavy assaults. That's a terrible thing. Those increased mass assaults. They're very key assaults. Let's say that. Very key assaults. Whatever they were thinking about doing with with Solitude in that Atlas just fell apart as soon as he started getting pounded in the back. And that is
it was clearly EMP trying to bait Lords into that opening and send that Atlas in kind of to avoid the Atlas being the focus fire target, at least initially, which they successfully did, but not having that armor in the fight for that time was costly.
I'm just in... Oh, Jesus.
You didn't have the video up,
Well, it was up. It was up, but it black screened on me. So the whole time we were talking... So let's...
Tough.
I apologize to the viewers there. Black screen incoming. Sorry about that. So, yeah, we're going to give a couple more shows here since it was all black screen. Here is the Executioner working well against Selith there, and he got away with pretty low HP. But then we'll see in the back here, Peef Smash and Criven in this area getting up behind the Mauler, and look at that combined effort into the back of the Mauler. Take him down quickly, and then immediately start in on Solitude. Those are two very critical assaults being taken out by two nimble and focused lights. Solitude does get the twist, but then here comes that Executioner shot right into the back. And while that's happening, you've got Bowser in the other Atlas, or Bowser here goes down, but he lived incredibly long, doing a very good job soaking up that damage. And then Arar doing whatever he can. See, the reason I missed the lights is because I was choking. So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, you did get a little bit of support from chat there during your episode. During that match, they did show some concern for you, at least a little bit.
Oh, boy. So that is the match. I knew this one was going to be good. And
it was definitely
not
good.
Disappointed. 3-2 in favor of EMP. Let's give away that other set of codes. This one will be for the mech bay and some premium time and whatever the hell I want to throw into the mix.
And we've seen some great matches, great games in these Div A matches so far in MRBC, but that Viridian Bog matchup, Drop 2, might have been one of the best brawls I think we've seen in a long time. Very fast-paced, very crazy, with a lot of things going on. Just a great match overall tonight. Glad. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as we've enjoyed casting it to this point.
You know, during the poll, it was such an even split. I think we're all winners tonight. Absolutely. Because we all got to watch an amazing match. Make sure you guys tune in on Thursday for SJR versus EMP. That's no doubt going to be a great one as well. FBJ, congratulations on the win. Good sir. We will be sending you the codes afterwards.
And there's the black stream in chat. Yes, guys, we know. We're sorry.
So, yeah, I did catch it and was able to show it to you guys before ending the stream. So, sorry about that. It wasn't anything I did. I think it might have been because I had another tab open. And then, because, window captures does it by the name of the tab. So then you have the other tab, you click replay, you go back, you start doing stuff, you then click into the YouTube, and it's like, no, I don't like you. So it's just a order of operations thing. But I did catch it and was able to restart it, and then we were able to get in. So awesome. Well, one more Shoutcast to go. I can't believe our run is ending. Looking forward
for MRBC.
For
Let's
MRBC.
clarify that. Yes.
Well,
this is not a retirement announcement.
This is not a retirement. This is for Season 7 MRBC. Let's put it that way. So hopefully the tournament will be awesome. Can't wait to watch some of those matches. And thank you all for your support. Make sure you give MRBC League a follow. Make sure you give me a follow. Make sure you follow me on Twitter because I'm constantly posting stuff up. Make sure you watch Outreach HPG on Reddit because that's where I post up all my stuff. And definitely continue supporting your competitors as they move into the big tournament. Go find your favorites. Buy a frickin' banner and wave it or something. I don't know, but this is going to be awesome, and this is a great time to be in competitive MWO.
Absolutely.
I think
and if you haven't already, we talked about it a little bit in the opening, the MechWarrior Online tournament coming up, the official tournament. I don't want to talk too much about the actual tournament itself, but if you haven't bought the tournament supporter pack for $10, you get a 10% XP and a 10% C-bill bonus for basically the rest of the year.
That's just awesome.
Quite
I've been milking the shit out of it. I just bought 3 Black Knights because the money's just flowing in. It's only 10%, but it adds up, and it's before premium time, so it just boosts it that much more.
Absolutely.
So definitely grab that. It really gets you some good money. I've been having countless 600,000 C-bill matches. I don't know why people don't keep voting Conquest, though, because that's money-making in the bag. Like, Assault, Domination, and Skirmish just don't pay out as much as Conquest, so it pisses me off when I see people voting for Assault in public. Come on, I'm trying to make money here.
Public address announcement by Bandit B17.
Vote
Never
for Conquest.
Vote for anything
I'm
but
trying to
Conquest.
farm, goddamn. Well, because you just play it as Skirmish, the fight ends, you get 750 points, and you get paid for it. It's simple math, and it takes so little time. Whatever.
Life lessons.
Life lessons. I don't know how people aren't catching that, but it's paying dividends. So thank you all for coming out. Thank you for watching. Thank you, IQ Fish, for being here and recording. Hopefully you got some really good footage yet again.
Sure, yeah, I did.
And thank you to the teams for allowing us to record and allowing us to shoutcast. You guys have been fantastic. But that's going to be it for us tonight. See you guys on Thursday.
See you, everybody.
Goodbye.
Pay attention to the paper doll. Make sure you guys are shooting the correct legs. Be careful of the collisions. I don't want to hear complaints about it. Work around it. Let's play this game.
I need another heavy. I've got TB and a quick draw.
I want to get fairly tight to it. Now, anybody who's going to be working range, I'm going to need you to fade right on this. And anybody's running short is going to stay towards the top of the caldera if we're going to come at them.
I have you in the Griffin.
Sounds good. Well, that's the thing. We got to get to brawling range, so I may be moving us right up to the hoop if we have to.
Wolverine of Charlie 4.
It's fine, chill out, man, it's fine, it's just a 5-starter.
Komm Leute, redet miteinander.
15 seconds.
Yeah, exactly,
Don't die.
guys,
15 seconds, don't die.
guys. 3, 2, 1.
Charlie Dar, CT, yellow. Okay, go to Charlie, see if we can get it.
There, to your left, is there. Sorry, Richard. So, jetzt guys, hinter die Indie-Pocken,
Mediums be prepared to pull back E40 towards the E5 border. On my mark.
Left side, come on! Like now, I need strikes on EmpyreaL. Wire are strikes up.
Die Hauptgruppe rechts, Uferlinie.
They have 3 mechs sitting on the left side when you pass over.
Overheating is bad.
Both legs on the Griffin. Hit the Griffin.
Woo!
spawn Lance, you guys in Charlie, Lance, you guys in Bravo, that's B2C1.
This third drop is 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults.
Jetzt in die Breite, zieht euch in die Breite.
Lights, watch our backs, we're gonna about base and take up position in Bravo 6.
Ja, kurz Aufschaltung, Delta 4, 3 Stück, 2 Mediums, ein Light, wie ich es richtig gesehen habe.
Make a firing line.
C4 Tactical Hill, boys.
Fox.
Laufen unter ECM, hab 2 durchlaufen, 10 Bravo 4.
And get ready to hit people coming from our right.
Charlie on the left, Charlie, Hellbringer on the left.
Okay, let's group up towards the left. We're gonna press through Bravo 3 to Bravo 4. I think they're kind of spread out. Check yourselves, make sure you've got, UAV cool shot. Here they come, they're pushing hard, guys.
Deco. Tez on.
Go. Oh, got a contact here, Bravo 3.
Nice, Marshall. I'm on Delta Griffin.
We'll get cross it then. Get in their face. They got a highlighter, they just push up on Theta. We need help on Theta. Up on Theta.
Yep, that's the noise. Go. Let's finish this.
Full pressure, guys. Full pressure. They're down low. They're down low in Charlie 3. Get the f***ing arm, Jackson.
Jackson, cool shot.
Golf. I got him.
Go, P3, go.
Echo, go.
Get over their medium, guys. Get Echo Stormcrow.
God, I suck as a pilot, but thank I packed my skill. I'm sorry that you died, sweet girls, but we will send a reasonably nice letter to your family.